Dr. Amit Thakker, who is the chairman of the Africa Healthcare Federation. He joins us now from Nairobi. Good to have you on the show, Amit. So when you're talking about a $30+ billion pool of money, there is a lot that can go wrong, a lot of money that can be misused. Yes, corruption is always bad, but it just seems to me that this is possibly the worst time for this.
You're right. We couldn't have a worse time. We pointed this out 2 months ago when the first thing that the South Africans did was to start buying healthcare services from Cuba. We did raise a red alert in many of the governments and ministries of health not to get involved and embroiled into buying PPEs at pretty high prices with vendors that are very not known to the Ministry of Health. The food parcels that you mentioned are another major concern, and also the unemployment funds. The $30 billion is spread around 30 odd companies, but there are 5 companies that are listed on that 30 billion projects that need to be investigated thoroughly, and they need to be put on book so that they never waste taxpayers' money again. It is the worst time to have such scandals.
You were talking about overpriced PPEs being personal protective equipment. That may be just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, some of the allegations that I was reading showed that officials paid more than $8,000 for a scooter, which is actually worth only a fraction of the cost. All right, South Africa is seen as possibly the best prepared country in sub-Saharan Africa for this COVID-19 pandemic. But how much has rampant corruption in the country weakened the country's healthcare system and various institutions?
It's pretty obvious. And though it's well prepared and strong, I think all the facts that are coming out are showing weak engagement, which is institutional fragmentation. As far as the private sector is concerned, and the engagement is way beyond the expected level that we expect South Africa to have. This is unacceptable and will not be tolerated by any governing organization that is overseeing this kind of governance that's taking place in South Africa. It must stop immediately.
The $30 billion in grants are planned for 6 months. It looks like this pandemic is going to last much longer than 6 months. Where does it take the country after that?
Yes, that's a very good question. When you don't have a vision that takes you or tracks you for the next 2 years, you will see cracks falling into place in health facilities, when it comes to supplies, when it comes to economic stimulus packages, and you might find a grinding halt, and the GDP is going to collapse even more rapidly. So future planning by leadership is critical. Spending money like this involved in graft, investigation needs to be done and stopped to avoid further damage in a country that we all look at in Africa to be one of the leading giants.
All right. Dr. Amit Thakker, thank you very much for joining us out of Nairobi. I do appreciate your analysis here on the NewsHour.